Chairman, the topic of this hearing couldn't be more important. Our young people go to college to learn about the world, to start their careers while they're working hard to build their futures. They should, at the least, feel safe on campus, and they should feel confident that if they are victims of crimes, the people around them will respond quickly and with respect and compassion. I know now that for 20 years, the federal government has been collecting and disclosing data on alleged campus crimes under the Clery Act. And Mr. Moore, you just noted that last week the Department of Education released draft rules on expanded data collection. Now, data can be a powerful tool in helping us understand the problems we face and possible solutions. I want to ask about how the data are used. So, Mr. Moore, can you tell me about what kind of analyses the Department of Education conducts with Clery Act data, and taken as a whole, what these analyses have shown?
Yes. Thank you, Senator, for the question. What we do to validate this information is we go out to schools and we conduct assessments, compliance assessments. And when we do that, we will look at substantial samples of incident reports to see if they were classified the right way.
Okay, so just so I'm following you here, what you're saying is you go out and you validate that you're getting good data that
Correct.
Come in.
Correct.
And so you make an independent, on-the-ground evaluation. You look through what kinds of records?
Police incident reports, security documents, student conduct records, sometimes HR records. Sometimes you have to go into athletic departments or fraternity offices where anybody who can adjudicate discipline or investigate issues of discipline, we have to look at records from those offices.
Okay, so you look at the records, you look at what was reported, and
Right.
you see how good the match is, and then you know about the quality of your data. And I presume if the match is not good, then you have an ongoing relationship then with the school about how it is they need to improve their data reporting.
There are several things we do. There's a technical assistance and corrective action component, and if what we find constitutes a substantial misrepresentation, the school could be subject to administrative action. Usually that would mean a fine.
Okay, so you try to get everyone in compliance in terms of reporting the information. Now my question is, we have this information, we've been collecting information for 20 years now. Presumably, the quality of the information has gotten better over time and more complete over time. What do you do with the information?
We do collect that information from all of our institutions, and we do analyses of it to try to track trends in campus crime.
So you look for trend lines on a school-by-school basis?
Sometimes by a school-by-school basis, but also across sectors of education. We'll often look at community colleges and look for trends there. Obviously, the crime environment is very different at a community college that doesn't have dormitories versus, let's say, for-profit educational institutions that don't have the big sports programs, big fraternity programs, those kinds of things. And then we'll look at our traditional institutions that are likely to have more types of crime occurring.
And do you make all of those reports public when you do these analyses? Are you putting them out there, making them public?
The statistics are publicly
available. Well, I understand
available.
the statistics are publicly available.
The analysis is not.
So you do the analysis, then what happens with it when you discover
Basically,
a problem?
we use it to formulate our compliance program. We use it in the conduct of our cases, and it also gets used in terms of possible proposals for changes to the rules.
Well, actually, then let me switch it over to Ms. Lhamon. Do you use these data as part of your enforcement strategies and designing your enforcement strategies?
We do, and we use it in two ways. One is that Jim and I work together when we collectively have concerns based on the analysis that Jim and his staff have done. He may refer something to us so that we can begin to investigate. We also take a look at the data itself to decide whether we should do a proactive investigation of our own. And it may be a little bit counterintuitive, but sometimes very low data from a school is a reason for us to go and investigate because it will seem like they may not be reporting appropriately. Right. Yes. But we use the data very often in our own assessments for where we should look at a school, and also when we have a complaint that comes to us, what we should do as we're evaluating that complaint.
And I'm just about out of time here too, but let me ask one more question that ties this together. Are there other data that you should be collecting or that you would find helpful in making your decisions about where you've got compliance and where you don't, that you feel like ought to be there?
Sure. There's one that I think is coming that we will access, and another that I would like to have that we don't have now. So the one that's coming, okay, so I'll get to the one we don't have. I have a civil rights data collection that I conduct for the K-12 schools around the country, and it gives me a picture of equity health for those schools that I find enormously useful for the enforcement work that we do. I don't have that same data access at the higher education level, and I think it would be terrifically useful in this area, among others, for civil rights compliance in higher education, and I think it would be very, very helpful to have.
Good. Well, as I said, I've run out of time. I very much appreciate this. I do think that we have to be very careful about the quality of our data. I'm very glad to hear about this part of it. How we use those data to analyze and identify problems and collect more and better data if we need it. Because I think the focus on prevention needs to be far more intense than it has been. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.